What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to today's video where I've been on an extended sabbatical, but I am back with another video, and unfortunately for some of you folks it's going to be a video where we do quite a bit of work to the CETA and we also say goodbye to it at the end of the video. Now, I'll go over the rest of that in today's video, but welcome back. I finally got around to editing this video amongst other ones that I've got shelved right now. The last couple of months life has gotten insanely busy, and as I've said before and we'll say again and kind of maintain, I do YouTube because I want to, not because I have to, that kind of thing. So I did set aside some time finally to edit this video. I've got track updates coming, Corvette update, and of course saying goodbye to an F-body means that there's another one right behind it shortly thereafter. So let's hop right into today's video. We're going to work on the CETA. I've got a number of things I want to get done, from cleaning up the inner wheel well, lining the rear end, fixing some exhaust up, getting the brakes bled and all dialed in. But for now, let's get to work on it, and later in the video we will say goodbye to it. Alright, so inside of the rear driver's wheel well, we've got a little rub mark actually from what appears to be the wheel contact in the inner wheel well for some reason. Now, it does have an adjustable SPOHN Panhard bar on it, so I'm assuming that this rear end is off-center just a little bit. And the way we'll check it is measuring to the center of the hub from the end of the quarter panel with a plumb bob, and that'll make sure we're centered in the quarter panel. So the car's not lowered or anything, so I kind of find it interesting that it's off-center because everything should be as it is, but anything that would cause it would be this adjustable Panhard bar must be off just a little bit, or when it articulated enough. Auto crossing it at the Black River Rally last fall, it moved enough to actually hit it. So I got a can of rubberized undercoating. I'm going to try and touch up this one spot. I guess I'm not super worried with how it matches, so I don't really want to redo the whole thing, but I'm going to get that bare metal cover back up. First thing I'm going to do is hit with a little bit of rust preventing or rust inhibiting primer and go from there. So I got just the edge of the quarter panel all taped off. I'm just going to seal it in with this 2-in-1 rust reform and seal, whatever. Then I'll put the undercoating on it. So basically what I'm going to do is just keep that from oxidizing and rusting. I'm going to seal it in there really good. So this is kind of the idea. So I'll give that a minute. And then we'll get some rubber coating or rubberized undercoating in there and see how it looks. If it's too crazy, I might just do the whole wheel well, but then again, you're kind of opening yourself up to a whole bunch of work, and I basically just want the texture to match because over time, you know, of course, that gloss will fade, especially when dirt gets on it. So I'll let that dry for a while, see if it needs another coat or whatever, and go from there. Here we have a super high output duplicolor undercoating system. So let's just get right after it. Pretty good amount for now. Maybe I'll let that dry up and I'll do a few coats of this because the stuff does seem pretty thick, but again, I don't want to create a million particles of overspray all over the garage, which is inevitable doing this, but try and feather it out a little bit best I can. There. If we get down to a little smooth spot but we're still coated here after a while, I'm gonna be pretty happy. So yeah, that's it for now. I'm going to let it dry again for a little while and see what kind of result we end up with. Alright, check it out. Here's the final product. You can probably still see, let's say, the shiny spot down there, and of course I've got very dramatic lighting right now. You can see where I tried to blend it all over the place, so this wheel is going to be a little bit more rich than the other one, but after a little bit of driving you're not going to be able to tell a difference at all. And honestly, without getting maybe a professional grade type bed liner, you're not going to notice, you're not going to be able to blend that into the background because this is really thick, however they sprayed it in the factory. But at first glance, depending on your angle, you probably miss it. So this is done. Now let's get some plumb bobs on the quarter panels and get this rear end centered, or at least verify that it is centered. we can get this open first. Holy cow, that's tight.
Why are you fixing the car?
Oh my god. I'm taking out the fill plug first, so I don't have to do it on the bench, because that would have been pretty tough.
Do you need pliers, Dad?
This? Nope, I just needed to get that out. Fill plug.
Why are you using this stuff?
Because we're going to put some fresh fluid in it. And I might not have to do this, but... Alright, you tell me when.
Now!
Ooh.
You're getting some fluid on the screwdriver.
Yeah. But we got it all into the drain pan, see? The food looks pretty good. It's a little dirty, it's used, but it's not bad.
Oh.
Look at that. Ew, it's really thick, isn't it? Hang on, buddy. We're gonna go in a sec. Hang on. Alright, so the rear cover is reinstalled on the Strange S60 rear end. The ring gear is marked 430 because there's a 430 gear set in the back of this car, because they installed that gear ratio because that's what the Carl Black Pontiac GMMG Blackbirds came with. Anyway, buying a CETA like this and doing everything to it is much more affordable than buying a Blackbird. I don't care how you slice it. So that was the reasoning for putting a 430 gear ratio in it. I guess going on the freeway, I would say it's noticeably taller of a gear than, like, I think the 390. It's noticeably taller than the 410 gear ratio that was in the pewter Camaro that I last had in here that's now owned by Dad Mods. I recall it being a 410. I could be wrong on that, but 430, maybe another 100 or 200 RPM going 60, 70 miles an hour. It's noticeable. It's not bad, but, you know, to say you're not going to notice it, that's not true either. Perfect gear ratio on these cars, I would say, is like a 390, like I had my pewter WS6. That was a 390 with a T56. It was like perfect. So 430, a little bit more aggressive, but not going to make or break anything. So next up, I've got 4 ounces of LubeGuard limited slip supplement. This is to reduce chatter and whatnot. So the rear end calls for 85-140 non-synthetic gear oil, and on Strange's very own website, you can buy a kit of 2 quarts, believe it or not, of Lucas oil. Super heavy duty, high performance, perfect for limited slip differentials, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, which would appear to match what was in there, because that was very much so like syrup when it came out. So I know that that's what the initial fill, or if it's been changed once. Again, I didn't bounce anything off of the prior owner because I'm just going through making sure service is top notch on this thing. So anyway, let's get back to work under here and try and stab those in. Alright, so next up in today's video, we're actually going to go through and bleed the brakes on the yellow car. So I've got some .3 fluid. I have no intention of racing this car or really pushing the braking system in any way. I'm probably more or less just going to drive it like normal folks would. So my sister and I are going to bleed the brakes on the car. I'm going to get this thing all ready to go, and hoping in the next few minutes we'll be able to start bleeding. First things first, I'm gonna suck out the master cylinder, make sure that's good and clean, ready to go, and we'll get some fresh fluid in there and start that way. And from then on, should be pretty easy. So let's get on the tripod. I'm gonna set you guys up, and then we're gonna start bleeding the brakes, and hopefully when we're all done, we're gonna have a pretty dialed in car. So, all right, let's see what we got. So it's pretty dark. What I'm going to do is suck out this master cylinder. Make sure I don't get any of this on the paint or anything. I'll notice if I see a drop or whatever. And pretty much what I'm going to do is just make sure that the master cylinder is all empty and whatnot. And whatever fluid we put in here after that is for sure going to be clean, new, and looking good. So that's it. I'm going to empty this out. Let's start bleeding brakes. You got the idea?
Yep.
Okay, pump.
Holding. Floor.
Alright, pump.
Holding. Floor.
Alright, well, pump.
Holding. Floor.
Alright, you can relax. Alright, pump.
Holding. Floor.
Pump.
Holding. Floor.
Pump.
Holding. Floor.
Pump. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here is I'm setting up my own version of a plumb bob on each side of the rear end on a common point. So what I picked basically is like the center line of the wheel relative to the quarter panel, and you have to hit it in the center because gravity places your weight at the bottom, or what would be a plumb bob, perfectly level vertically. So I got this one set up on this side, and I got the same exact thing set up on the other side. It looks like it's touching the tire, but as you'll see, it's wiggling just a little bit. I also made sure that I settled the car first. I pushed on the trunk a couple of times and bounced it, so it's nice and settled as though it was driving. It did not change my reading at all, so the way it was sitting is accurate to my first measurement, and after monkeying with it, it actually stayed the same. So this side, same deal going on, just a little bit of painter's tape. I got it centered, and if you recall, earlier in the video, inside of here, we had some rubbing, which means that the rear end is shifted towards the passenger side of the vehicle. So our math should reflect that. Let's see what we got after measuring. So basically, this is our hand-aided drawing of what's going on here. You get the idea. I've got my tires, the rear end, what's effectively the center line, and my measurements. So in Freedom American units, we have 2 3/8 inches from the line I hung to the end of the wheel hubcap, how I measured it. Same on the driver's side. So the difference is actually a 1/2 inch. The rear end is actually exactly 1/2 inch favoring the driver's side right now. So it's actually pulled in. What I'm going to do is get under the back of the car. There's an on-car adjustable spoon rear panhard bar. And basically what I'm going to do is adjust it so that the rear end gets pushed to the driver's side away from the body, because that's how it works. I'll show you how it works under the car, and this is why you need one. This is actually exactly why you need an adjustable panhard bar, especially after lowering a car. Now, this car is not lowered. So basically what I think happened is that the factory panhard bar was taken out of this vehicle. This new one was installed. It also has a upper panhard bar relocation bracket to accommodate for the larger exhaust, which is common on these vehicles. And what I think happened is that it was never actually checked, or it was just matched to the factory size, and for whatever reason, because of the geometry change, we have a 1/2 inch difference now, and I believe that was causing the rubbing, especially under the little bit of autocrossing I did is probably what caused it, because it's something I haven't ever noticed as driving. So let's get under the car. I think all I need is an adjustable crescent wrench, and I'm gonna lengthen the panhard bar. So I'll show you what I'm talking about under the car. All right, so we are under the car, and I'm sure some of you guys know, but some of you don't. The rear suspension on these F-bodies uses 2 lower control arms to control forward and rearward movement. It also aligns rear end front to back into the car. There's a panhard bar to center the rear end between the driver and passenger side, and a torque arm to control pinion angle. And basically what is happening is I need to adjust this point right here, and what it's going to do is actually force this bar to become wider, therefore moving the rear end to the driver's side. So I don't think it's going to take much moving, but I do have to move it to center it, because right now if you look under the wheel well, it's very close to the driver's side and it caused rubbing. So we'll be better off when this is all done. It should only take a couple of minutes, but I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, and we'll measure it when we're all done. So obviously I'll be very careful under the car, but I believe what it's going to do is move the body over the rear end, because I'm mounted to the rear end on the jack stands, the 2 jack stands, as well as the jacks. So I'm going to take these jam nuts loose, and we will begin the alignment process, if I may. So these should be jam nuts. I've never had an on-car adjustable one, but I understand how they work. Oh, not that way. There's a very strong man put that on. I think those are jam nuts, and I cannot move them. So let's try this one. Oh my God. Whoever put that on is more man than I. Oh look, a drain. I didn't even realize there was a drain on the rear end until now. Dumb. Okay, so those jam nuts were really on tight. There must have been like some Loctite or something, but anyway, let's see. We are we're right at 2 inches on the passenger side. Okay, and now this side we are right at, I'm gonna call it 2 1/4. Okay, so after the first move, we went from 2 3/8 to 2 1/4 and 1 7/8 to 2/8. So we have now moved this way to 1/8 of an inch this way. Somebody may correct me who's a carpenter or you know, a more studied person in the comments, but I've got 1 more 1/8 to move this way, and then we should be perfectly centered from driver's side to passenger side. So I'll get under the car, move a little bit more, and we should be dialed. Okay, so I'm hoping we took up 1/8. I'm hoping to land, I think, at 2 1/8, and man, we are right there. I might just move it a little hair. I'll check the other side, see if we're at the same. One side was a little proud on 2 1/8. Oh man, this thing's about dialed. I'm gonna bounce the car once, make sure it's all jiving. If it's good, I'll probably get under the car, lock it down. I'm gonna call left and right good. So let's see what we got. We're just kind of mimicking driving there a little bit, so we'll see if it changed at all. If we were to go street drive it or whatever. So we were right at 2 1/8. Still there. Yeah, it didn't change at all. So, you know, this side's a little proud. I'm gonna see that. If the other side is, I think we're good. Okay, so basically we're good. Under the car, I'll show you how much this actually unthreaded. Now, what you're looking at is from the bottom side of this jam nut. Each side, this is the driver's side of the jam nut, and the passenger side here. This is how much I actually unthreaded it. Those jam nuts I just broke loose. I didn't spin them in at all. So you can see how much wider the bar is, because before, if you can imagine, the black bar was butted up to this jam nut and was butted up to this jam nut, and the center adjuster just pushes and pulls on these threaded rod ends on each end. So these are just jam nuts. So yeah, we gained all of that 1/2 inch, and that's really what it needed. So I'm gonna go ahead, lock these down, show you guys what I got when I'm all done, and we'll call this one dialed. All right, jam nuts are both secured. Everything seems okay. I want to make sure my measurements are the exact same as before, tightening them down, then we'll make sure we're done with this part of fixing up the CETA. All right, so after 2 moves, we are now driver's side 2 1/8, passenger side 2 1/8, which makes us perfectly centered based on the wheel hubs and what would be the quarter panel on each side. So it's centered under the body perfectly. Now, if there's a better way to do this, sorry, the furnace just kicked on. Behind me, we still have some cold weather here. But I was saying, if somebody has, let's say, a better way to do this or a more precise way, I mean, this is a very accurate way to do it. Don't get me wrong. And I've done it this way for a long time. It seems to work. It's very simple. And they're 2 relatively reliable straight points. And of course, your car couldn't have been any significant damage or anything that might have tweaked the body or anything. But we'll take a quick look here. You get an idea. I mean, you get an idea. Before, this side was pretty much touching. When you looked at it, I even showed you how close it was, and now it's like that. So you compare it over to this side. We got basically the exact same status over here. So I can't think of a better way to actually go about doing that, or a more simple way. Like many things, probably more elaborate ways to do it, but for me that works, and I believe it will for you too. So let's get into the next part of fixing up this car in today's video. Okay, so that escalated quickly, and I gotta admit, there's a little trick I learned after absolutely struggle busing for like an hour trying to get these slip joints apart. Might seem a little silly, but if you spray WD-40 around them, it works almost instantly when you start wiggling them, because my God, do those get stuck together. I got a bunch of them apart, and then I was literally about to throw in the towel, so I looked on the internet. You know, people say you can cut slits in them. I knew that. I didn't want to do it, you know, to require more welding and whatnot. There's a whole number of ways you can do it, but the quickest, easiest way I found to do it, a few people posted about just spraying simple WD-40 at each joint, letting it penetrate for a few minutes, and then start wiggling. And my God, if there is ever a magic trick with WD-40, that's it. So anyway, the reason I took it apart is when I was tie wrapping everything in the back, I found that the reason the exhaust was rattling in the back is because it tore here right at the body mount bracket, the exhaust hanger bushing. So it tore here, and then further up, what I found was this. The Y pipe almost was split in half, which would explain the exhaust leak that I thought was coming from the slip joint. But upon further inspection under the car, it completely failed around the weld joint. Under the car, I've just got one pipe hanging on for dear life on the driver's side, collector of the long tube, but either way, this is repairable, and what I'm gonna just have to do tonight, it's like 11 o'clock at night already, I'm gonna call it, and hopefully I don't wake up sore tomorrow after absolutely going to war with getting this exhaust off for the last hour. But, you know, where we left off prior to that, the rear end's centered now, so one step forward, like literally 5 steps back. We'll pick up this video after I figure out what to do with it and do some welding.
When you drive here, man, this thing's so good. I love this thing. I can't wait to get it dialed. So, yeah, we're a 1-liter diesel engine. So,
Okay,
we
we're
should
gonna
have
go.
all the oomph we need. Just
All right, so this actually starts way up in the neck of this thing and then goes all the way down to here. So there's a little bit of a crack. We're gonna go wham both sides of it and get this thing dialed in.
we got to redo all the wiring. So we should be able to clean everything up dramatically, make it a lot nicer, and have a fresh electrical system. And 240, so 1130 for these 4 versus 1500.
All right, guys, a few days later here, my buddy Taylor got this all welded up all through here. This was torn all over the place, so he got it pretty well dialed in, got the mounting tab all reattached there. The muffler was torn. The muffler was actually torn. Right there, you can see the weld build up as well. I mean, this thing was like pooched all over the place. It wasn't just one spot. But other than that, I'm pretty much ready for reinstallation. It's gonna be a little bit of a battle getting it all fit up under the car. So I'm gonna crawl under there and do that, and I'm gonna show you guys the finished product when it's all done. Okay, so probably took an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. I got all the exhausts together and tightened down. It fit up pretty nice. At first glance, I would say, no, not much to say about it. It's all in there looking pretty right. After welding, you'd always wonder, you know, if it moved at all, but I'll try and show you a view across. There's a subframe connectors, let's say. And under there, the lowest point is definitely that cutout. I don't think I've got, and you know, I don't think there's really much room to twist that up. I could probably a little bit, but there are some scrape marks from years prior. But other than that, the long tubes for sure would be the next lowest point. As you can see there, they droop below the subframe connector just a little bit on the passenger side. But do a quick tip check. Then we will fire up the car. Sitting nice in there. I had to bring this tip out a little bit, as well as, I don't know, I think the alignment, tip alignment's actually pretty good on it. You know, for a first stab at it, not being able to really get back and look at everything, it's actually pretty good. Might be pointing to the passenger side just a little bit. And honestly, I don't know how you'd correct that. But anyway, let's fire this up, get some heat in it, and see how things move and snug up, and we'll go from there. All right, so there you have it. That's pretty much going to be the update on the WS6 for now. I got to go put some miles on it, really see what else it needs, and kind of go from there. I think what I really think should happen next to it is actually get a dyno tune. And there's a little bit of a hesitation when you actually whack the throttle at first. It's not real smooth. I didn't notice it stumbling when I did it here up on the stands or anything like that. But again, a drivability test will render a little bit more information than I can get right here just idling it. But anyways, huge thank you to my buddy Taylor for welding up a couple of busted pieces of exhaust that were just kind of out of my skill level. Sounds really good. I'm not noticing any leaks or anything like that. I'd have to do like a, I don't know if I could like Pepsi challenge it to tell the difference, but honestly, maybe the exhaust out of the tips sounds a little bit louder, but I can't even hardly tell the difference, you know, there being any leaks, let's say, which I find kind of crazy for how tore up it was. You think it'd be like completely obnoxious and like really, really obvious or whatever, but that just really wasn't the case on this car. And, you know, a lot of people could probably attest to that have heard it in person. You know, it just sounded nice. So, you help him?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm just checking out stuff like this.
Classic Rock 35 DQ DQ morning show. This is 4.0 with the North
Over here. Hey, you got them over here.
17.
That's where the action is. Alright, you tell me when to bring it down.
Bring it down.
Alright, here we go. Nice and slow.
Welcome to 2540 Coffee House in Superior, Wisconsin. A holistic wellness and coffee shop uniquely designed as a haven to nourish the body.
I like a
With signature drinks so delicious.
nice shot. Right here. They're here.
Yeah, is that the shot? Alright, thanks, buddy.
And they're here.
Alright, today is the day. I'm going to go bed in the brakes. It's finally nice enough out that I can take the yellow car out and actually put a couple miles on it. But what Power Stop says to do is to actually go ahead and perform 30 decelerations from 30 miles an hour to 5 miles an hour with 30 seconds in between for cooling. So basically it's going to have you do that for 15-20 minutes and that'll be good enough. So I'm going to go out, put a couple miles in the car, enjoy it. We'll report back here in the garage and wrap up today's video. Alright, so effectively the Trans Am is all wrapped up and dialed in. I put a whole bunch of miles on the car since doing the brake job and getting those all bedded in and whatnot. But over the last few weeks, as quite a few of you have known, the car's actually been for sale, which might seem a little surprising, but the car, I would say, is exceptional. This is a great vehicle. I'm very happy to have owned it, but right now the car is sold. So I'm getting the car moved over to the other side. I'm getting the car ready for pickup. All the parts are going with it. The car is actually going to New Jersey. So it's going to be picked up and transported. I'm excited for Nick to have the car. It's going to be all pretty much dialed in for him. But basically what I found is that right now with the track and everything else going on in life, and especially having two little ones around, this car I found is way too nice for me. So I worry a lot about it. I worry about putting miles on it. I worry about someone drawing on it, you know, and you're not paying close enough attention. And right now, the perfect car for me is that one. So for now, I'm going to keep the Corvette around. That's going to be the project car for now. And of course, other F-bodies will come and go. I hope one day, maybe down the road, I'll have another one similar to this car or something different in the future. But for now, the proper decision for me is to move on. So the car is sold, everything's labeled and pending pickup here in the next couple of hours actually, so I'm kind of filming an outro. I gotta move everything over to get picked up in the other garage, and pretty much that's where we're gonna load out everything. And this car is gonna go on quite the journey over to its new home in New Jersey. So anyway, let's fire this thing up one more time. This thing is all dialed in front to back. It could use a little tune update for the hot start. That's really all that's left on it. And I think there's a wheel speed sensor acting up because once in a while when you drive it, the low track light comes on. But 2002 Pontiac Trans Am WS6 Collector's Edition. Super fun. Loved the trip picking it up. Super thanks to Chris and his family for being so hospitable and taking good care of this car. And it's going to be off to the next guy to enjoy it and put some miles on it. So one more cold start. We're going to go around the block a couple times and get it warmed up. We're going to go park it in the garage and have everything ready to take off in the next couple hours. Well, we're going to get this stuff all loaded up. Of course, we got rear end exhaust and a bunch of boxes and whatnot, but this guy is going to get it loaded in the back of the trailer, and then we'll kind of go from there. But car sounds really good outside. It's kind of sad to hear it go. I never really hear it outside like most of you guys know. Well, looks like a headlight's out. I didn't know that. That's a recent. But anyway, car sounds awesome. Looks like a BMW inside of the trailer, which is pretty cool, newer BMW. And he's gonna pull it in and more? Okay. All right. It's all she wrote for the Firebird, so it's off to its new owner, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Well, it may be unsurprising that not long after selling the yellow car, there is a new F-body in the garage. This one is a fraction of the price. We'll go over more of this in a future video, but it's a 99 Camaro SS, and I could buy over 4 of these for the cost of 1 CETA. So, keep a long story short, this is the type of F-body I need right now in life. The yellow car was an amazing car, but it's just way too much for me at this point. So, I got a 99 Camaro in the stable at this point, as well as the 99 Corvette. And anyway, that's about all for today's video. If you want to support the track or any future videos or F-body Corvette type content, please visit the merchandise link in the description. Pick up a t-shirt, sticker, koozie, can, coffee mug, hoodie, whatever it might be. Every dollar that comes in goes right back into the track and content like this. So thank you guys for watching today's video and sticking around as long as you have. I'll see you guys in the next video.